Hey guys, I want to give you a quick little behind the scenes at how I created this image. So what I did was I opened up Cinema4D and I built this little room here. You can see this little bitty tiny bedroom. It's got 3 walls and it's got a floor and it's got a ceiling. And you can tell that the ceiling looks a little bit weird. It shouldn't be right there, but you know, I can move it up or down depending on what the height needs to be of that room. But very simple, just a bunch of rectangles, a bunch of cubes, and this door right here is just a rectangle cube with a little sphere right there for the doorknob. And then the windows and the doors, they're just bools, which means they're just cutouts of the shapes. So I started off with this little room, and I could start building on top of this. After I've got the room going, I need to start adding some furniture. So the first thing I did was I modeled a bed, and this bed is also pretty simple right here. You can see it's just a cube over here on the for the footboard, and I just stretched it out into a rectangle. Same thing for the headboard, just stretched that out as well. The mattress as well, that's just a cube stretched out to a rectangle with some of the edge are beveled nice and smooth, and then I added the sheets to it and some texture there. Then I also wanted to add the lamp, and so I first of all I made a little table for this lamp to sit on, which is just a box, nothing fancy here. And then I modeled a lamp that goes on top of that box. So there is our bedroom getting set up here. We have a bed and we have a lamp and a night side table. All right, now that I've got the bedroom and I've got the furniture in it, I want to start adding all of those lamps all over the scene. And so what I did is I took this lamp that I already made and then I made a copy of it. And so now I've got 2 of these lamps, and you can see this lamp that's kind of floating in space right here. And then what I did was I put it into a cloner, and then I could clone bunches and bunches of lamps everywhere. You see all of these lamps, and it's just kind of crazy like that. Then I added a random effector to it, and so now they're just kind of going all over the place. And but you can see that there's a problem because they're intersecting here, and so we don't want lamps to intersect. And I want them all over the room, and I want them to look as natural as possible. So once I got to this point, I realized that I was going to have to put some tags on them and turn these into rigid objects. So when I turn them into rigid objects, then I could start playing this scene. So if I hit play on my little animation thing, they're going to start flying all over the scene. And so you can see how they're just kind of going everywhere when you push play, because they're all on top of each other and they need to find a home to go to. And so I kept playing with these animations and just trying to move the lamps around and figure out where the best place to go. And I finally realized that I needed to move them up to the top of the roof here and then let them fall down, and it was a little bit more natural. And so that's what I did for that. These got the lamps everywhere, but I was noticing that sometimes the lamps would fall on top of the bed, and so I needed something to fix that as well. So to get the lamps from not falling on top of the bed, what I had to do here was kind of get creative. So what I did was I moved all of the lamps up to the top of the ceiling, but I also moved the bed up to the ceiling as well. But I didn't want that bed to fall instantly. I wanted it to wait until all the lamps were on the ground, and then the bed would fall down into place. And this took a lot of practice, but that helped not get the lamps to fall on the bed as much. And this really looks kind of crazy watching all of these lamps fly everywhere. It took a lot of practice and a lot of different trial and errors to figure this out. But this is kind of what it looks like from a bird's eye view. You know, you're just watching all of these lamps go everywhere, and then the bed falls and hopefully falls into the right place. All right, so once I've got everything the way I want it to look, and I'm happy with the composition, which isn't this one, but once I was happy with it, then I could start working on my lights. Now I'm using Redshift for my render, and so this is my Redshift viewer here. And so once I've got everything the way I want it to look, then I can start using this render engine. So this is what it looks like without any lights. And then I started adding some Redshift lights into the scene. And so I first added one to the lamp here in the back. So you can see This lamp beside the bed is bright, but that's the only light source in the room. And then I started adding some more lights, like this window light, which is a blue light, then made the lamp a little bit brighter, and then added some more lights, and eventually added some dust and environments as well. And so this is kind of the way I used it, just using these Redshift lights and the Redshift render engine. All right, the final thing I did was bring everything into Photoshop. So here is the rendered image. I made sure that my rendered settings were very high, and I just brought it into Photoshop. And then I want to get a picture of my daughter after I had the background made. And so I just went and got a picture of my daughter in the basement. I've got a yellow light here on her left side. I've got a blue light here on her right side. And I was just able to copy a picture of her, bring her right into the scene. And then what I did after a series of adjustment layers is I was able to blend her into the scene and get this final image right here. And so all in all, it took quite a few hours to figure out how to do this in Cinema 4D, just a couple minutes in Photoshop, bringing my daughter into the image, and I get this picture right here. So guys, that is a look at my creative process using Cinema 4D to create this kind of surreal environment. I'm still learning, but I'm enjoying it. And I hope that you are out there being creative as well. I'll see you again soon, guys. Thanks.